New York Times author Jason Reynolds is returning to his beloved series with his latest book. Reynolds' track books for younger readers have sold more than 2.5 million copies since Ghost was published nearly a decade ago. In his new book, Coach gives readers the backstory of Coach Otis Brody, who has, as a boy, dreams of Olympic glory. Jason Reynolds joins us now. What's up, man?
What's up, baby? What's going on?
Good to see you. So this latest installment of the Track series, it was actually a tip of the hat back to 2018 when you originally, your last one that you did. Yeah. Why did you want to revisit this book and this character?
You know, I didn't.
Why?
And I'm a person who believes that a thing that is done. And I wrote 4, and it was meant to be 4.
But what had happened was?
And then what had happened was hundreds of thousands of kids were like, we want to know more about Coach. And my reticence was always that, like, well, if I write Coach's story, then your favorite characters aren't there because they weren't alive when Coach was a child. And so at some point, you know, they wear you down as kids do. And I decided, you know what, maybe this is an opportunity for me to create sort of an empathetic moment for young people to kind of engage with who the adults in their lives once were, so that they can then understand why they are the way they are now.
It's a great father-son dynamic in this one, too, Odie and his dad. Yep. And there's a revelation at the end of the book about Odie's dad. Why was that important to you? I love when you talk about fathers and sons and that dynamic.
I just think that it's imperative to make sure that everyone knows that parents are people.
Yes.
And so even though there is
They make mistakes.
And they make mistakes, and that they're imperfect, and that doesn't necessarily mean they don't love you. It just means that they're trying to sort out the messiness of their lives while you're trying to sort out the messiness of yours in middle school. Right?
So one of the things that we were talking about that I loved about this book, and this is the second time in the show that I'm going to talk about what it was like for me growing up as a child, but the book begins with an incident that happens to Odie, and he is, I wouldn't call it bullied, but he's made fun of at school.
Sure.
And he talks about bullying. It felt like bullying, and it immediately, obviously, took me back to my own childhood. And then there was another hook. He loves Back to the Future, which is one of my favorite movies.
You.
Yes, and I was telling you that I interviewed the writer of that film many years ago for CBS Mornings, and I told him about my childhood and how Back to the Future saved me, like Odie, and he leaned over, and this is the only time I've ever cried in an interview. He said, Vlad, I wrote Back to the Future for kids just like you. And I was done, and this book focuses on why he wants to have a time machine.
Absolutely. I think, you know, for Odie, he wants to have a time machine so that he can imagine his life in different ways.
Yeah.
It gives him an opportunity to be transported to other spaces and other sort of parallel universes where he's not being bullied or where he already has an Olympic medal, right?
Forwards and backwards, too.
Forwards and backwards, you know? And I think that's something that a lot of us do as kids. That's why we love comic books and superheroes and science fiction, so we can imagine ourselves in places that are not our actual circumstances.
And how important is the symbolism of running, both in the physical but also in the emotional? Because oftentimes we are either running from something, running towards something, or simply just running in place.
A lot of Carl Lewis references.
A lot of Carl Lewis references. You know, Nate, I'm glad you brought it up. When I first started the track series, the whole goal was to address that, and you know this as an athlete, in order to be good at running, in order to be good at sports, you have to be comfortable with the feeling of suffocation, right? Like that, in order to be good at it, you have to be okay with being out of breath. And I wanted to address how there are so many kids in America and all over this world who don't even know what it is to breathe easy, and it's normalized, right? Suffocation feels normal to them, and yet they still get to be kids and find joy and laughter.
Jason, can I just say, you have such a way with words. Do they come to you when you're sitting in the tub? I only say this because I just saw an interview with you where you were talking about you love a good tub. Number one, that surprised me because I would have said you were a shower guy.
And number two,
because Gayle is
but I love a good bath. I go out every day. So do you have a routine? Is it bubbles? Is it bath salts? What are you doing in there? I'm just picturing you in the tub right now. Go ahead.
No, it's honestly, Gayle, I think men should normalize tubs. I think we should all just be okay with, like, getting in the tub. And look, when I have all the things, I put all the things in there, right? So when I have the salts and all the stuff, I put
candles going, champagne.
I treat myself.
Okay,
right?
Jason.
Self-care.
And I think what it is for me is that I'm too afraid to be electrocuted, so there's no technology. And so that's the space where I can, like, be quiet.
Yeah.
I can
unplug.
I can unplug. I can bring my cortisol levels down. I can think about the day, right? And then, like, I sit there until the water gets cold, and then I go take a shower.
Hey, I love that. That might be the most gangster thing you ever said. Men should normalize tub. Hey, treat yourself. Don't cheat yourself.
Right.
From a MacArthur
All right.
genius.
No doubt. Jason Reynolds, thank you so much. Coach is on sale now.